You spent 3 hours cleaning your room. Every surface clear. Everything put away. You stood back and felt that rare moment of pride. Finally, finally you did it. You're not a mess. You're capable. You can handle this. 2 days later, it's chaos again. Clothes everywhere. Papers scattered. Objects you don't even remember touching somehow covering every flat surface. And the pride turns into shame. Because if you could do it 2 days ago, why can't you do it now? What's wrong with you? Here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. Your room isn't a mess because you're lazy or don't care. It's a mess because you're using an organization system designed for a brain that works completely differently than yours. And once you understand why traditional organization fails ADHD brains, you can finally build a system that actually works. Let me show you why that clean room only lasted 2 days. And then I'll give you the exact system that stops the cycle. The problem starts with something called object permanence. For most people, when they put something away in a drawer or a cabinet, their brain can still remember it exists and where to find it. Out of sight doesn't mean out of mind. But for ADHD brains, visibility is memory. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. You forget you own it. You forget where you put it. And when you need it, you can't find it. So you either buy a duplicate or give up on the task entirely. This is why you keep everything out on surfaces. Not because you're messy, because your brain needs visual cues to function. That stack of papers on your desk isn't clutter. It's a memory system. Those clothes draped over the chair aren't laziness. They're a reminder that you need to wear them or wash them. The moment you hide things away in the name of being organized, your brain loses access to them. So you're stuck. If you keep things visible, people tell you you're messy. If you hide things away, you can't function. There's no winning. Now add decision fatigue. Every object in your space that doesn't have a clear, obvious home requires a micro-decision every time you interact with it. Where does this go? Should I keep it here or move it there? Is this the right spot? For a neurotypical brain, these micro-decisions are barely noticeable, but for an ADHD brain already managing limited executive function, every single decision drains your mental battery. By the time you've made 20 micro-decisions about where things go, you're exhausted, so you stop. You put the thing down wherever you're standing. You'll deal with it later. Except later never comes, because later requires the same depleted decision-making energy you don't have. And this is how clutter builds. Not because you don't care, because your brain ran out of fuel. And then there's time blindness. You have no internal sense of how much time has passed or how long tasks will take. So clutter accumulates invisibly. You genuinely don't notice that it's been 3 days since you put something away. It feels like it was this morning. You underestimate how long it'll take to clean, so you never start because your brain tells you it's a 30-minute task when it's actually 3 hours. And when you do finally clean, you lose track of time and either give up halfway through or burn yourself out trying to finish. Object permanence, decision fatigue, and time blindness. These 3 things combine to create a perfect storm of chaos that has nothing to do with how much you care or how hard you're trying. But here's where it gets worse, because society tells you the solution is to get organized. So you look for help, and what do you find? Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube videos with aesthetic minimalist rooms where everything is hidden in matching white bins, closets with color-coordinated hangers, desks with one plant and nothing else, drawers divided into 17 subcategories. It looks beautiful. It looks calm. It looks like the answer. So, you try it. You buy the bins. You label everything. You create the categories. You tuck everything away. And for about 48 hours, it works. Your room looks like the inspiration photo. You feel like you finally figured it out. And then you need something. And you can't remember which bin it's in. And you don't want to dig through all of them. So you leave the bin open. Or you pull things out and forget to put them back, or you buy a new one because searching feels impossible. And within 2 days, the system collapses, because it was never designed for your brain. Traditional organization systems are built on a foundation of assumptions that don't apply to ADHD. They assume you'll remember where things are when they're out of sight. They assume you have the executive function to maintain multi-step processes. They assume you can estimate time accurately and make dozens of micro decisions without exhausting yourself, but you can't, and that's not a flaw, that's neurology. Minimalist aesthetics are designed for brains that don't need visual reminders to function. Closed storage works for people who can remember what's inside. Complex categorization works for brains that don't experience decision fatigue. Those systems aren't better. They're just designed for different brains. And the frustrating part? When those systems fail you, you're told it's your fault. You didn't try hard enough. You're not disciplined enough. You just need to commit. But you're not failing because of lack of effort. You're failing because you're trying to use tools that weren't built for you. So what does work? What does an ADHD-friendly organization system actually look like? It starts with open storage. Not because it looks better. Because your brain needs to see things to remember they exist. Open shelves, clear bins, hooks on walls, baskets that sit on surfaces, not tucked away in closets. If you use it regularly, it needs to be visible. This isn't messy, this is functional. Use clear containers for anything that has to go in a drawer or cabinet. You need to see what's inside without opening it. Opaque bins might look cleaner, but they're black holes for ADHD brains. If you can't see it, you won't use it, and you'll forget you have it. Minimize categories. The more specific your categories are, the more decisions you have to make, and the more likely the system is to fail. Instead of separating office supplies into pens, pencils, markers, highlighters, sticky notes, and paper clips, just have one container labeled writing stuff and one labeled desk stuff. That's it. The goal isn't perfect organization. The goal is reducing the number of decisions required to put something away. Create designated zones, not designated spots. A zone is a general area where a category of things lives. A spot is a specific location for a specific item. Zones work for ADHD. Spots don't. For example, you don't need a specific hook for your jacket. You just need a jackets and bags go here zone. You don't need a labeled spot for your keys. You just need a things I need when I leave the house tray by the door. Zones are forgiving. Spots require precision you don't have energy for. Make everything one step. If putting something away requires more than one action, it won't get done. This is why laundry piles up on the floor next to the hamper instead of in it. The hamper has a lid. That's 2 steps. Open lid, drop clothes. Your brain doesn't have the executive function to manage 2 steps consistently, so get a hamper without a lid, or better, get a laundry basket that sits open on the floor. 1 step, drop clothes, done. The same logic applies to everything. Don't put books back on a shelf if you have to move other books to fit them in. Use a basket where you toss books when you're done. Don't hang clothes on hangers if the process feels like too much. Use hooks or an open laundry basket for clean clothes I'll wear again. Don't file. Papers in folders. Use a tray labeled important papers and toss them in. This might sound chaotic to someone with a neurotypical brain, but for you, this is how you function. And function beats aesthetics every single time. Label everything, even if it's obvious, even if it feels silly. Labels are external reminders that reduce decision fatigue. When you're holding an item and you're tired, the label tells you where it goes without requiring you to think. Grab a label maker or use masking tape and a marker. It doesn't have to look professional. It just has to work. And here's the big one. Accept that your space will have visible clutter, because for your brain, visible clutter is functional. That doesn't mean chaos. It means surfaces will have things on them. Walls will have hooks with items hanging. Shelves will have open baskets with visible contents. This is what an ADHD-friendly space looks like. And it's not a failure. It's a system designed for how your brain actually works. Now, here's the piece that makes the system sustainable. The 5-minute reset routine. Deep cleaning doesn't work for ADHD brains. It requires too much time, too much energy, and too much executive function. You do it once, burn out, and then avoid it for weeks. But a 5-minute daily reset? That works, because it's short enough that your brain doesn't resist it, and consistent enough that clutter never builds to the point of overwhelm. Here's exactly how it works. Set a timer for 5 minutes. That's it. Not 10, not 15, 5. Your brain can handle 5 minutes. Focus only on surfaces. Desk, nightstand, dresser, floor. Don't open drawers. Don't reorganize shelves. Just surfaces. Pick up anything that's out of place and put it in its designated zone. Not its perfect spot. Its zone. Keys go in the leaving the house tray. Clothes go in the clean clothes basket or the laundry hamper. Papers go in the papers tray. Books go in the book basket. You're not organizing. You're resetting. There's a difference. Organizing requires decisions in categories and perfection. Resetting just means putting things back in their general area so you can find them tomorrow. When the timer goes off, stop. Even if you're not done, even if there's still stuff out, stop. Because the goal isn't a perfect room. The goal is building a habit your brain can sustain. If you push past 5 minutes, you'll burn out and stop doing it entirely. 5 minutes is the sweet spot. Short enough to be painless. Long enough to make a difference. Do this every single day. Same time if possible. Right before bed works for a lot of people. Or right after work. Or right before you start your evening routine. Consistency is what makes it stick. And because it's only 5 minutes, it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels manageable. And here's what happens. Over time, your space stops collapsing into chaos. Because you're catching clutter before it builds, you're maintaining function. Instead of trying to recover from disaster, the reset becomes automatic. Your brain stops resisting it, and you stop feeling like a failure. You're not messy, you're not broken, you're not incapable of being organized. You've just been trying to use a system that was never designed for your brain. And now you know better. Your brain needs visibility. It needs minimal decisions. It needs one-step processes. It needs zones instead of spots. It needs open storage and clear containers and labels everywhere. It needs a 5-minute reset instead of a 3-hour deep clean. And when you build your space around these principles, something shifts. The shame dissolves. The cycle breaks. Your room stops being a source of stress and starts being a place that actually supports you. Because the goal was never to make your space look like everyone else's. The goal was to make it work for you. And now it finally can.